This woman writes, husband won't talk to me at all. I did a video a couple days ago on this guy who was saying that he's like masculine, and his reason was because he was strong enough, quote unquote, to ignore his girlfriend for a month when she did something wrong. And I was like, that's such bullshit. It's like, you don't ignore somebody, you don't just punish somebody. That's actually that's such a weak move to do. It's like you don't have the courage to go and say what you truly mean. So it's like instead you're being all passive aggressive and punishing this person, and it's just not fair to the relationship. It's not fair to her. And it's like ultimately it'll just come back to you. It's like that's not a masculine quality, just like to punish somebody by being passive aggressive. It's like instead just be upfront, say exactly, have the courage and basically the ability to overcome that fear of saying exactly what you mean, what works, what doesn't, and being able to really stick up for yourself. And yeah, so it's like this might be a similar situation where it's just like, well, he doesn't really want to confront her. Maybe he doesn't want to hurt her feelings. Sometimes that's the case. Or he's just afraid to stick up for himself because it's like so many people have that fear. And I think it's a natural fear to have, especially when you're not trained. You don't have the mindset to be able to walk away and mean it and know that you'll be self-reliant and just fine if you lose this person, and not that basically overcoming that fear of loss. But so many people live in that fear of loss. So let's get into the post. It's not the silent treatment. It's just almost as bad and feels crazy. He'll talk as long as it's just banter or chatter or ranting about politics, but I cannot have just straight talk with my husband. So what does she want? She wants to be listened to. She wants to feel understood. Everything is a gag, so like a joke. And when he's doing this, it's like when he's not taking her seriously. Yes, it's important to be playful, but usually only like a very, very small amount of the time is spent on being playful. But you're always kind of ready for that playfulness because it just creates a dynamic that's more fun. It's like when you have fun together, that's usually the couples that stay together that can have fun, that can be playful. But when it's used to the extreme, it can be communicated as sometimes an insecurity, or it just kind of robs her other needs that needs to be fulfilled, like her need to be understood. When he says, look at our daughter, she's so sleepy, and I say, I know, is there something we can do to keep her up so it doesn't mess up her bedtime routine? His response is, oh, but she's so cute. It ends all in arguments. Okay. So, I mean, it seems like maybe there's some other background, or it's just like the two of you have these rules set up in your relationship that might be just so minuscule, but they lead to an argument or lead to someone getting upset. And, the more rules that we have, the more opportunities we have to really just not get upset. And so sometimes it's important to just sit down and look at the rules you have for the relationships and eliminate most of them. It'll just make a much more stress-free life, stress-free relationship. Although you do want to identify those rules that you do have and be able to defend your values and those important things in your life, whether it's like cheating, loyalty, whatever it is that you really can't tolerate. And those are the rules that you have, and those are the rules you defend, and then just let go of the little ones. Any serious point I make is going to be met with some nonsense. I was hoping to put money aside for emergencies, but what about the rapture? How was your visit with mom? These are all quotes. Utter silence, then to our daughter. So who wants peanut butter cookies? And so he's ignoring her. So she's asking him these questions. He's not listening to her. He's not understanding. And it's like when you ignore something, move this coffee. When you ignore somebody, it's like in sales, it's like when you ignore somebody, what happens is it almost reinforces their need to persist in that category. So it's like if somebody says like an objection and then you completely ignore it and talk about something else, it's like, well, they get really strong in that objection. They say, oh, this is this. And it just creates an environment that doesn't really work as far as overcoming those objections to get to the close or get to the sale. And in this case, it's like she just wants to feel like she's understood, listened to. Look at the 3 U's of femininity. She wants to be, pain points are unseen, not understood, and not being unsafe. So it's like when she doesn't feel like she's listened to or understood, it's like that is a very big pain point in her. And what happens then is like usually you see a reciprocating thing where she starts to criticize or control him, which is a big pain point for him, or she just closes off completely and doesn't basically communicate at all with him. And that's another big pain point because he doesn't feel like he's being successful. But all this stuff, it's just like, it's human nature stuff. So it's like, once you can kind of understand the human nature behind why people do what they do, then you can kind of use and direct your actions in ways that make them fulfilled. She says, I don't feel like I live with another adult or even a child, but like some sort of cartoon character who I'm never really sure if he likes me or hates me. That's just it. I mean, he needs to listen to her, and that's an easy fix once you know what you're doing. So all you have to do is really just get her to talk. Don't solve her problems. Don't use logic to say, oh, this is what you should have done. Instead, just be open and feel what she's feeling in a moment. And when you do that and when you're 100% present, she feels understood. And then it's like these conflicts don't come up.